Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I have some explaining to do. Basically, long story short, I recorded both my reactions to episode 36 and 37. Unfortunately, the recording was, well, the recording went fine. It's just that the audio wasn't really picked up on, and basically the final raw footage has no audio of me. The audio for the show is there, that's completely fine, but my audio, me talking, yeah, it's not there. If you want to listen to what it actually sounds like after I finish recording, here's a bit of a sample. Yeah, it doesn't sound pleasing, does it? And I've been banging my head this past couple of days because I wasn't sure how I'm gonna approach this, because it's one thing to have a botch recording, it's another thing to botch the recording for the final episode of a show that you are watching. And it's also kind of a shame because I don't know, these past few episodes I've been kind of harsh on Death Note. I mean, that's kind of obvious. I wasn't really the biggest fan of these past couple of episodes, especially in the way the writing and the dialogue goes. I mean, you know how you know what happens, right? From the production side of things, how they want to rush the final few chapters of the manga. I understand why this is the case. I don't know, it's just sucks because these two episodes I really enjoyed, and you're gonna see that in my actual reaction because I was having fun. These two episodes, in my opinion, are really good. They're not perfect, but they're really good, and at the end of the day, I was pretty satisfied with what I watched, with what I got. I was pretty satisfied. I was pretty happy with how Death Note actually ended, despite many of its flaws, and despite many of its mistakes. I do still find some redeeming qualities by these final two episodes, and I've kind of already discussed about why I feel this way in the discussion portion for these two episodes. Again, it's just a shame that even that portion of the video also got its audio butchered, so you're not gonna hear me talking for over an hour, discussing about Death Note and my just overall review, because that is exactly what I did after I finished watching Death Note. I made this long review and this discussion about the final episode and the overall show and how I feel about it. And now I can't really give you that because again, I don't have any audio. So, what do I do? What's next? Well, I've kind of decided this. I was debating with myself, on how I want to approach this. At one time, I actually figured, screw it, I'm just gonna re-record the reaction again. But if I do that, that's not gonna be genuine. It's not gonna be a blind reaction. And even if I did mention that, hey, yeah, I've already seen this, episode before, it's not too long ago. I still have it fresh in my memory. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be, it's not gonna be the same. And I don't wanna, I don't wanna record fake reactions. That's just disingenuous of me, and that is one thing that I will never do. So, what I'm gonna do next for the next hour or so, I'm just gonna let my actual reaction play out. You're gonna see my reaction, the way I move, the way I react to, but you're not going to hear me say anything at all, at least in that video reaction. But instead, I'm going to add my own commentary as well. So I don't want you guys just to watch a silent reaction at all, right? That's also boring, and if you do watch it, I'm probably I'm sure you'll probably just click off the video. So what I want to do next, and this is going to be for the next hour or so, I don't know if I'm going to actually completely edit the entire show out. Like I'm gonna do like a reaction highlight, or I'm just gonna screw it and I'm just gonna showcase the entire episode, just like with the very minimum sound and very, massively overlaid the footage with filters and whatever. So that's what I'm gonna do next. So I'm gonna let my reaction play out. You're gonna see my genuine first time reaction, but I'm also going to be adding my own commentary right now as the reaction progresses, kind of like me giving my own discussion. So think of this as like you're gonna see my reaction, plus you're going to hear my feelings and my thoughts and discussion immediately as well. So hopefully this all pans out perfectly well, and I hope you guys can understand this, and hopefully you guys can, don't mind this at all, because I'm sure a lot of you will be disappointed. I am disappointed as well, because there's a couple of moments that I actually did like scream and shout like in excitement and in like joy over like certain things that happen in these two episodes. And yeah, hopefully my commentary is enough for you guys. And with that being said, again, hope you guys enjoyed my, I guess, reaction and discussion at the same time. If you do enjoy this, hit the like and subscribe as always. Again, I apologize if you guys feel disappointed at this. Trust me, I am more disappointed than all of you. So, with that being said, let us watch together, I suppose. I guess this is me reacting to my own reaction, I guess. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all, I guess, next time for the next show that is going to be replacing Death Note. I think most of you guys are going to really enjoy the next show that I'm about to watch. So, without any further ado, here's my reaction to episode 36 and 37 of Death Note. So, I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't have a plan for this commentary at all, so I'm just gonna be rambling for like an hour. I don't have a script. This is gonna be completely unscripted, me just talking about Death Note, and hopefully I can entertain you. I guess I do a review slash discussion slash commentary on the reaction as the video progresses, because you will find in these two episodes, well, in most of the episodes of Death Note, really, I don't really talk a lot. When I do talk, I will talk a lot, but when I am engrossed in the story, I just stay silent, and all I do is just make these little like gestures. So, and that's me just drumming to the beat. This is a really fun opening, I will say. I mean, I finished watching the show, but I still kind of go back and re-listen to this opening time and time again. It's a really fun opening. I really enjoyed that opening a lot. But here the show is kind of giving us a little bit of a recap for like what happened in the previous episode. And what happened in the previous episode also kind of hurts me a bit, because I mean, I don't know what to expect. I thought that she's probably gonna, at least be alive, but no, she's another victim, and unfortunately, Light kind of doesn't give a shit about her. Who would have thought? What a surprise. And yeah, I mean, the past few episodes themselves, I wasn't really, they're not bad. I still firmly believe that, like, which episode was it? Father, when Light's dad passed away. I still have nightmares of that episode. But the next subsequent episodes are better, I would say. Not great, but better. And these two episodes these last two episodes, in my opinion, is probably the best episode after episode 25, which is when L passed away. These news anchors, these news videos are kind of funny. You know, they're kind of over the top. They're kind of, you know, they're definitely making a parody of themselves, and it's quite funny, and I guess I would say over the top perception on reality, right? So Light and Nier, and that was me kind of like expecting if Nier is going to change like the plan or anything. No, he does not change the plan. And this is where L's own, well, I'm sorry, well, this is kind of funny, you know, now I can actually talk about it. I kept kind of jumping back and forth between L and Light. I've been kind of I kept switching them up. Um but now I feel like I'm not really, it doesn't matter now that I am switching L and Light, because Light is L now. I don't know, it's kind of funny, like in the past I would switch up between Light and L, but now Light is L. And speaking of L, I guess it never really registered on me when this scene was happening that Nier is holding a puppet of L. And apparently I do. I don't know, why did I remember that wrong? I mean, you can see that in my reaction, me pointing and me gesturing, saying like, "Oh yeah, those puppets." Forget what I just said on me not picking that up. Apparently I do. Surprise, surprise! I don't know myself. Them releasing Amane kind of gives me like a slight hope. That was me kind of showing a sigh of relief, saying like, "Oof, at least Amane will be, you know, at least Amane will be alive." And that's me basically saying, "Hey, the story is basically shoving Amane out of the story." This is basically the writers, you know, they have no plans for Amane in the future. Amane does not have any requirements. Amane does not, you know, she will not affect the story at all from this point on, and that's why the writers decided to shove her away. They're moving her aside. And how naive I was thinking that Amane was gonna be alive by the end of this, but I will get to that later on in episode in the next episode. This scene in particular kind of threw me out of a loop for a bit, because they are heavily focusing on Aizawa, heavily focusing on the Death Note, heavily focusing on these specific rules as well, and that kind of led me to believe maybe, just maybe, Aizawa will be the one to kill Light, because why else would they kind of recap this information that we already know for like 35 episodes? Like, we know these rules. We know what they can do. So why would they recap it again unless there's like a specific reason? And Aizawa being the one who, you know, takes responsibility of holding the Death Note in this process kind of at first, you know, made me believe that Aizawa could potentially write Light's name in the Death Note and kill him. And as the plan moves forward, we go into this like somber state. Everything is desaturated. Everything is, you know, almost gray, similar to like episode 25, and I really love that. You know, like in episode 25, L was at the top, you know, soaking in the rain, and here in episode 36, we kind of get that similar vibe, that similar situation, right? It is the final day. It's a terrible rain. It's a terrible day for rain. And everybody's ready. Let us go, says Light. And everybody's looking at him. Everybody's looking at each other. This moment I thought was like really, really cool. It is also like kind of showing like the weight of the whole situation. Like making things in like slow motion, them walking to like their final judgment as the light kind of shines on them one by one is a really cool direction. Is a really cool choice of direction. I really, really enjoyed this scene a lot. And especially here as light kind of ventures into the light. Light going into the light, get it? Let me stop. And you can kind of see them kind of focusing a bit on like those fans, and there's a reason why they focus on those fans, because later on they're gonna stop the fans, right? I was kind of nervous, and because I wonder what they're gonna find on the inside, but it is actually Nier himself, just sitting with a mask, with a bunch of dolls, playthings, right? And the mask is a mask of L. And I love how they kind of re what's the word I'm looking for? They're hammering down the idea that whoever it is who wrote the dev note will not go to heaven or hell. Kind of basically, hey, yeah, this is the final episodes. These are the final two episodes. Shit is about to go down. Whether L survives or not, the outcome will remain the same. He will not go to heaven or hell, and I kind of like that, especially in the final episode. With with a specific image that shows later on. Yeah, you can see me there just, soaking it in, showing the watch, transitioning to the fan. And I love how they are showing the watch because we know what the watch has in store. There's going to be a piece of the dev note in that watch. I love this presentation, love these compositions, these shots. Showing, the anxiety, the anxiousness, there's tension in the air from like the dripping of the water and stuff. And speaking of, of light, especially in that moment, you know, light unable to hold his laughter, his smile. I don't know. I guess I've talked about this in like the previous episode discussions, but I'll just gonna say this again. I feel like Light has been done a disservice in these past few episodes. Not that his character, changed completely. No, it's just that in some cases, Light's character just, I don't want to say it, but not as smart as he used to. And that shot was also really great. But again, Light's arrogance, I can see why Light became arrogant right after L's death. He defeated his number one enemy. He has a god complex. Obviously, he would kind of feel this way. But because again, it's only like 12 episodes, more or less, and they kind of rush through it, it again feels kind of rushed and it kind of feels unearned to see Light's downfall this fast. Like we've spent like more than 20 episodes building up Light's character to be this grand power, and then having him just just immediately decline and make mistake after mistake. I don't know, it just didn't really sit on me right. But having said that, if they did execute that perfectly, then these final two episodes would have hit harder for me, because again, I really like these two episodes a lot. I just feel like had they actually developed Light's downfall better and, you know, more sensible, I guess, then I would have probably reacted to this whole two episodes, you know. But here, this is when shit gets real to me. This whole sequence was amazing. Like, incredible. Classic Death Note. Like the animation, the frantic cuts, the oh, it's so good. But I was also kind of not confused, but I wasn't sure, right? Because the Death Note itself, or at least like we know that there has been some meddling, right, with the actual Death Note, like which one is fake, which one is real, right? And as Kira, I don't know, it's this entire episode is like Kira and Nier basically going Uno reverses every now and again, right? Kira explaining that no, actually, I've replaced it with the real Death Note, and then Nier goes, no, actually, I replaced the replacement with the with the fake Death Note. It's just fun. This is one thing that I love about Death Note, and I just feel like these past few episodes never really had that much, which is quite a shame, really, because that's like the main selling point in like the first 20 episodes when Light was trying to get away from L. And here we see like Nier's like plan comes into fruition, right? And I'm kind of also kind of holding back my own laughter because the way this is shot, the way this is planned. I mean, first of all, I love the color choices of this entire scene. It's really great. It's really cool. But another thing that this entire like sequence is telling me is that will Light actually succeed, right? Because all clues points to Light eventually dying by the end of this show. Like, I've kind of talked about this like many episodes ago, because I feel like it's pretty obvious. I just can't see Light winning, but I would not be surprised if Light actually wins as like this final subverting the expectations of the audience in typical Death Note fashion, right? So I'm just here sitting and just kind of waiting for like a thorough explanation from Nier, because right now we're getting the explanation from Light. Light believes that that he won, right? And kind of and Light basically just explaining his entire plan, the entire daily lives of his pawns in intricate detail. Like, it makes sense, right? Like, on one hand, I believe what Light is saying, because Light is telling the truth, right? Like, this is all part of his plan. But by the end of it, we know that Nier is just one step ahead of him. And then here we kind of see like, this entire sequence is just this is just a long sequence of Light basically explaining the plan of like the past few episodes. Again, I just wish that the last few episodes are actually executed as, you know, as great as it can be. It's just that again, the pacing was just not as, it's not my cup of tea, let's just say. And if I remember correctly, right here I'm kind of criticizing Light, as in Light held Light holds L in such a high regard that he belittles everybody else who tries to imitate L. And I don't blame him. Like even I don't really like Nier and Mello as much, because I personally, again, I don't feel like they are as great as a character as L. But at the same time, you can't also just, you know, just belittle them, just, ignore them and think that they are bumbling buffoons, because they are not. The story is definitely showing and painting that these two characters, specifically Nier, as like somebody who is smart, right? Even though, again, I find that the way they're portraying Nier's intelligence isn't really as effective as it is. It's mostly on, just face value. I like how Light is just like twitching every now and again, like a crazy person, because he is a crazy person. And how his, pupils kind of, yeah. We're slowly approaching the end of episode 36 at this point. And here is when things kind of like clicked on me. Light is going to lose. Nier is way confident in this. Too confident that he is confident that, yeah, I'm not going to die. And therefore, go ahead, come in, Mikami. And Light of all people says, come, like come in like the most sinister way possible. Like, I mean, yeah, it's, if everybody's about to die, then yeah, I could see how Light, acts this way. But at the same time, what if you fail? Like you're exposing yourself. Especially here, right, when Light just flat out said, I won. I don't know, a part of me kind of sees this happening, and the other part of me is kind of like pissed off at Light for saying something that's stupid. And here you can see me just like being bamboozled and throwing my pencil away, because I just can't believe the episode is over. And now we move on, I guess, to the next episode, the final episode of Death Note. Now, the thing about my reaction to the final episode of Death Note, I actually recorded a reaction to L's funeral scene before I actually watched the episode. And I know that this is just like a replacement to like the scene that happened in episode 25, when when Light kind of picks up the Death Note from Rem's body, because these are all pretty much like the same like dialogue and whatsoever. I just find it interesting if this is canon, right? Because a lot of people say that this is not canon. This is the reason why they deleted the scene. But I do find it interesting, and I'm kind of glad that I actually watched this before I actually before I actually watched the final episode, because I don't know. There's definitely like a correlation between this scene and the final episode, especially like the final few scenes of the final episode. Like I thought the funeral scene is fine. Is fine. It's all right. It's cool. It's not like it's gonna change anything, but it's the whole. I don't know. It's it's like showing where Light is at the start of this specific arc and where he's going to end up later on, which is him dying. Like seeing Light in this funeral scene, kind of laughing and kind of showing like his victory. And then by the end of the final episode, we see, Light actually dying. And that's, them basically reusing the same shot that will happen later on in the final episode. This specific moment. And his expression too, like it's like just for that slight moment he becomes an animal, right? An uncontrollable beast. But then he regains control again. And now back to the episode. New World. Again, like I'm kind of glad that I actually did watch like that funeral scene because Light in the funeral scene was all about creating this new world and whatever, right? And having the final episode be called New World, I don't know. It's there's poetry in there somewhere. And here it is. Light screwed up. The face of defeat. And then Mikami of all people just basically also flat out saying, Light, you're God, right? Do something. It's like, I don't know, it's like the most obvious, like, haha, I got you moment for, you know, towards Light. Like, he can't get away from this. Like, there's no other way around it. Like, he lost. This whole animated sequence was also really great, but I'm also like, yeah, you can't get away from this anymore, Light. It's over. It's done. You lost your cool. Now it's only a matter of how you're going to end. And there it is, betrayal, right? I was talking about like, what if Mikami sees Light, as not the savior that he is, but as like some lonely person who betrays people left, right, and center, including his pawns. He did it with Misa. He did it with. Why am I forgetting her name? Um, but he's also, doing it towards Mikami as well. This part to me, I don't know. There's a sense of like, yes, like I like Light as a character, but at the same time, I knew he has to go. Like there's no other way. Like it's over. It's done. Light is back into a corner. It's like a feral animal finally getting caught and has no way, nowhere to run. I wasn't a big fan of, Nier explaining how he did it in the first place. Again, like, this is how we do it and this is how you do it. I mean, sure, I guess. I'm just gonna let it slide. Sometimes my suspension of disbelief kind of gets thrown away, and I was like, what? How? But at this point, most of it kind of makes sense to me, and even if they did not actually properly show, how he does it, how he does it, but I kind of let it slide because this whole episode has been like a really fun roller coaster. How many times you've killed and deceived us? Many times. I think that's what I exactly said during their reaction. Again, I don't hate these two episodes at all. I think they're pretty good, and I was kind of happy. I was satisfied with it. But at the same time, I do feel like these two episodes would have had like a more. It would have had a lot more impact. Again, if the last few episodes are actually longer and not rushed. But again, it is what it is. See, this part I just don't care about in this part. Like they're trying to show like Mikami fumbling and kind of, not obeying orders, but at the same time it doesn't really kind of, it doesn't really change anything at all. Like if they just did not include that moment, the story would still be the same, in my opinion. So I was like confused as to. I get why they want to show Mikami kind of doing his own thing, but at the same time, I just don't care. And that's my problem with most of these new characters. I just don't care about them. Nier, Mello, and all of the other new characters, I just don't care too much about them. And the fact that these last two episodes were, where they are focusing a lot on them, it's kind of a shame because I feel like I would have really enjoyed these characters a lot. And here they kind of revealed that yes, Mello was talking to her when, in the last two episodes. Way over the top direction, in a good way. I mean, it is the signature Death Note style, so no complaints. This shot is also really great. And here, Light makes his final stand. And I love these two places. These two cards. After they die, they go to nothingness. It's kind of showing that, hey, it doesn't matter if you actually wrote the Death Note or not. Like, if you die, you die. Like, there is no heaven or hell. Like that's no. But this part again is like the final desperation of Kira, and it totally makes sense from his like character point. Like I feel like this is something that Kira would definitely would do in this situation, right? He wants to steer away the situation, right? Basically justifying himself, saying, "Hey, what I did is what I have to do," right? You know, like look at the outcome, right? Look at the positive side of things. Basically manipulating the situation, saying that, "Hey, I am Kira, but I made a lot of good stuff as well." You know, like think of all of like the positive that I have made, right? Crime rates went down. I'm the good guy here. I am justice. Basically giving the performance of his lifetime, right? A final theatric farewell. Like if there's one thing that Light excels at, it is his way of words. He knows how to manipulate people. It's just that in this specific moment, it's near impossible for him to do so because he's already caught. He is right in he is trapped in a corner. Near basically saying everything that we all know who Light is, right? Person having a god complex, and I was just saying, yes, finally somebody says it. We see all of their faces of distrust, you know, of betrayal. Light looking up to the sky, to the light. And I'm like, okay, what's he planning next? And then they show the watch, they show it. We know what he has there, we know what it is. And I'm like, is he actually trying to do it? Like one final stand. Like one final death, you know, before he goes on. And here I'm like, wait a minute, okay, let's see how this plays out. Because we know he is bluffing. We know that what he is saying is fake. And even Aizawa is like, yeah, I'm not buying this shit. And this is a common thing when it comes to like Light. When he wants to disprove something, he lets people to prove it themselves. This moment blew me away. Matsuda being the one who shoots the Light. And Light's reaction. And my reaction as well, if you can see it right now, you know, this is a very emotional moment, especially when it comes to like Matsuda. As Matsuda as a character who, you know, who follows Light to the very end, who also sees Kira not entirely in an evil way, you know. And this part as well. Matsuda snaps, and props to the voice actor as well. Incredible job. Matsuda shoots again. He shoots again. Like you've never seen Matsuda this unhinged before, and when you do it, I actually, you know, I was scared. Like this is not Matsuda, but at the same time, this is. Matsuda. Obviously, the one who is who is affected the most from Light's betrayal. Like everybody else kind of had their suspicions on Light before, but Matsuda is always the one who defends Light, saying that no, this can't be right. Like, how can Light be Kira? Like to see him be that way was heartbreaking, and to see Light in this situation as well, as like this hopeless, defenseless person, like pleading for help. This is the god of the world. And I wasn't even sure what the fuck happened here. But it is obvious that Mikami kind of commit suicide, and that kind of makes it, a distraction. And everybody else kind of forgets that Light is in there. Matsuda being the one who realizes that Light has ran away. I love how this whole situation is, silent. Understandable from Aizawa's point of view. And this whole sequence up until the very end was just incredible in my opinion. The lighting, the somber music, the way they animated Light as this like desperate as he desperately tries to get away, right? Like he's not sure, he's unsure of what to do next, right? He lost. And he knows his time is up. And I love how we cut back and forth between older Light and younger Light. Seeing, like who he was before and what he became now. That's me saying wow. But again, like this whole sequence was incredible in my opinion. Like you hear Light kind of panting away as he struggles and desperately tries to run away, and then this happened. They pass each other, the old and the new. Amazing sequence. And Ryuk up there, realizing his time has come. Light has to die. Time to write his name in the notebook. And I was genuinely sad. Like I talk shit about Light in these past few episodes. I mean, yeah, he is a killer, but at the same time, he is still the protagonist of the show, right? Like ultimately, Light's character journey is one of it's a tragedy, right? Like should Light die? Yes, of course, he's a killer. But at the same time, as like the main protagonist of the show, as the main character that we've been following this entire time, through ups and downs, there's a feeling of emptiness in me. I was feeling sad. Like it's finally over. And the way Ryuk says that line, we've entertained our boredom long enough. It's been fun. And I love how Light dies halfway through the staircase. like unable to reach his goal, unable to reach his destiny, unable to reach heaven, and even not even able to go back down to hell, like stuck in limbo. And here again, just sadness in me. I was feeling sad, but also kind of happy that the show is over. There's, it's definitely giving me that feeling of emptiness whenever you finish like a great show. I personally I don't feel like Death Note is a masterpiece. I'll just put it that way. There's a lot of issues that I have with Death Note, but at the same time, it's been such an incredible journey. It was fun. It was heartbreaking. This moment also leaves, to your own interpretation. But I'd say it totally would make sense if Misa commit suicide in this moment as well, because it would be symbolic as the final people who holds the Death Note passes away. This moment almost got me. This is a beautiful moment. Such an incredible moment. You can kind of see it. Like, I'm almost tearing up there. And thus the show concludes. Light has finally passed away. And Ryuk looks into the distance as his journey is over. And I love how we end the show with a visual of the moon. Because, again, Light Yagami, his name, and the moon, there's a correlation between the two. And I was kind of sitting there in silence, basically not knowing what to do. And there it is, my reaction to the finale of Death Note. Again, I apologize if I wasn't able to actually, it's not a perfect reaction. But hopefully from my reaction alone, you can kind of guess how I feel about these past two episodes. I'm sorry. I mean, I've talked about the show and the episode for like over an hour in my recording before, it all washes down and but I guess I'll reiterate what I said during the during that reactions discussion. I think Death Note is a solid show. It's pretty good. It's not perfect. There's a lot of issues, especially in the second half, and not second half, the third half. Well, the second half also has like some issues, but not as prevalent as like the third half. But overall, it's quite a journey indeed, and it's definitely a classic show for a reason. Like I can definitely understand why a lot of people love this show, and why a lot of people put it in high regard. Am I gonna read the manga? Probably not in this short time, like maybe in the future, but I'm not seeing myself reading the manga for now, because I know like the manga is definitely different in terms of like the third half of in comparison to like the third half of the show. But again, it's a great finale. I don't hate it. I actually was pretty satisfied with it. I was kind of, I mean it's pretty obvious that Light has to die by the end of the show. It's something that I've been talking about for many episodes, and to see it kind of happen, kind of gives me this feeling of emptiness, because it's finally happening. It's coming to an end, and I don't know. It's been a wild ride. 37 episodes filled with amazing highs and a couple of lows. Um, it's definitely, I'd say ahead of its time. I mean, you can kind of see like some rough animation here and there, but it still holds up. It's still a fantastic show. Tetsuro Araki did a fantastic job in terms of like its direction. Story-wise, I can talk shit about like the third half for like how many hours. But overall, I do find that the ending isn't something that I truly hate, because I actually enjoyed this ending a lot. And again, these last couple of episodes hasn't really been the best for Death Note in my opinion. Like, I feel like ever since L passed away, it kind of derails itself and tries to find its footing again, because again, like there's a power vacuum and they need to fill it out with Mello and Nier, and unfortunately for me, I just don't really see Nier and Mello as these amazing characters at all. But again, had they executed these episodes better and longer and not rush it, I can see myself enjoying these characters a lot. Because this ending is definitely like it's a reward to something that that is severely lacking in terms of awarding the audience, if that makes sense. Like, I can see the beauty in these two episodes. I can see the climax, because I can't see the show ending in any other way. Again, I just feel like the destination towards this ending isn't really the best for the show. But does the final few episodes change my overall mood for the show? I mean, yeah, a bit. Obviously when I'm going to recommend the show, I'm also going to take into account of these few episodes, but I know for a fact that even if these couple of episodes in the past has been, kind of rough, I know that once we actually reach the end, it's worth it. And I kind of mentioned this when I was discussing episode 25, and that is, I feel like episode 25 is a perfect place to end this show, right? So the fact that they are continuing the show, they need to justify episode 25's existence and, justify L's death. And to an extent, I think they accomplished that. I don't think I would be feeling the ways I would be feeling in these last two episodes if it weren't for L's death. Like, in many aspects, they work it out pretty well, right? So no complaints there in terms of like L passing away. But again, I do feel like had Death Note actually ended in episode 25, I would have, I would have been fine. I would have been happy. But the fact that Death Note still, continues, kind of, again. But overall, I'd say Death Note has been a pretty fun time. It's a great show. It's not perfect. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, but it is a classic, and I can see why a lot of people like it. It's a really good show. I feel like some of the criticism that people had for like these past couple of episodes are well justified. Again, I also share the same sentiment. I personally believe that these episodes, while the last arc, the last third half of Death Note, while not perfect, I don't think is as terrible as some people may say it is. Again, a couple of episodes are pretty bad in my opinion, but nowhere near for me to go, yeah, this is a shit show, no. There's still some cohesion, there's still like what's the word I'm looking for? There's still some consistency in one way or another. You know, like I've seen worse shows, or I've seen other shows having like a worse outcome where the pacing and the storytelling and the plot progression kind of became a mess and all over the place. But luckily, Death Note isn't entirely that towards the end. I was afraid that the final 10 or so episodes, you know, is gonna be terrible and worse, and the ending's gonna, you know, disappoint me. But no, that is not the case. I was actually pretty satisfied with what I got, and again, it's not the progression of the characters and the story itself, in my opinion, is pretty natural to an extent. Again, I just feel like they just rush it, and since it is way too fast, it becomes unnatural. I don't hate any of the ideas being presented here, you know, but again, it's the delivery could have used a lot more work. But yeah, overall, again, pretty satisfied with what I got, and I was pretty happy by the end of this. I'm not gonna rate the show yet. I'm planning on rating all of the shows that I have watched in this year later, so I'm not gonna give you like my final judgment call and my final review / rating for the show. I want the show to, you know, I want to sit back for a bit. You know, I just want my memory of the show to, you know, to ease in a bit. You know, it hasn't been like, it's only been like a week or so since I've actually finished the show, so it's still fresh in my mind, and I would love to review and rate the show once it's not actually fresh in my mind. I know that may sound like counterintuitive, but you know, sometimes you may feel a certain way when a show ends, whether you completely hate it or you completely love it. Sometimes that clouds your judgment, sometimes it blinds you, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just gonna wait for like a few months until I actually rate Death Note. You know, I want to look back at Death Note, and I want to, you know, remember all of these memories that I had with the show, because it's really fun. It's really fun. So that is it for my reaction / discussion for the Death Note finale. Again, I apologize. It's not really, you know, I wouldn't call this like my best discussion, and I wouldn't call this like my best reaction as well, but it is what it is, and I would rather give you guys this than actually re-record the entire episode, because that would be disingenuous of me, and I do not want to make fake reactions at all. But next time we're gonna be watching a brand new show, and it's gonna be in the same vein as Death Note. I don't know if you guys can predict what it is. You can kind of guess what's the next show that I'm gonna be watching, but let's just say I am very excited for the next show to watch that will be replacing Death Note. Hopefully it's gonna be a ton of fun as well, especially in terms of the discussion, and I hope most of you will be there as well to accompany me on my journey on this next anime that I'm gonna be watching. So thank you all so much for watching my reaction and discussion for Death Note. If you do enjoy this reaction, I suppose this reaction and discussion for Death Note, hit the like and subscribe. Again, I apologize if this is not the reaction that you hope for, but it is what it is. In fact, if you do want to watch the next reaction, you know, the next show reaction, hopefully it is available on early access on Patreon right now, so click the link in the description below if you want to do that as well. So thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Take care, guys.